I check my ego at the door,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't care if it's the janitor, the president, the CEO, or the vice president. I learn from everybody.
This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook, and I have the babysitter to the stars, dubbed by the Wall Street Journal, the entrepreneur JJ. What's going on, my man?
How we doing, sir? Welcome, welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
You know, a lot of times they get people on the playbook with humongous names. You know, the Danikas, the Ray Lewises, the Donovan McNabb was just here, but you are truly an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Your journey is one that I want people to learn. How did you get started into your career?
I always tell people it's always hard work, dedication, and luck and God. If you think about it, the full story, I'll give you the short version, but the full story is I wanted to be a rapper. And I was working with the guy, his name was Phildy, and he was the bass player of Korn. And he would take me everywhere, and I was going down to his basement in Nellyville, and I would literally go after school. His assistant name was Kip, and I would run there after school. And
How old were you?
17,
Okay.
17 years old, 16, 17. And I was doing battles, and I wasn't even old enough to go into like the clubs, but I was doing battles, and Phildy would let me go in his studio, and he had these turntables, and I would go in there and just play instrumentals and just rap for like hours. And he would go down there, and people would come because they were doing like the anger management tour, and I was meeting like POD and like all these rockers. And he took me to this party, Henry Nicholas from Broadcom, and I ended up meeting Daylene Curtis, Tito Ortiz, and like my life is just my personality. People go to that,
Mm-hmm.
and Tito Ortiz that next day he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna pick you up and teach you how to train." I was like, "What?" And so he literally like Tito Ortiz came and picked me up from my house in Laguna Niguel, drove me back to Huntington. We ate lunch at the White House. He drove me back to Huntington Beach, showed me his. I'm like 18 years old, 17 years old. Showed me his operation. Then he went to go spar with like Chuck Liddell back in the day when they were friends, and like I watched Chuck Liddell like outspar Tito, and it was just like that was like the beginning of that relationship. But for some reason, there was something I guess about my personality what made Tito want to step outside his box and just grab this kid, and bring him with him. And
What do you think it is about your personality? Because I felt the same way when I met you. First of all, my guy was telling me, "You got to meet JJ. I can't believe you don't know JJ." And the minute I met you, I don't know if it's you're full of light, but what was it that you think attracts everybody to you? Because you definitely are one of the most charismatic dudes I've ever met.
I check my ego at the door,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't care if it's the janitor, the president, the CEO, or the vice president. I learn from everybody, right? My mom taught me that, and Gavin Maloof also taught me that. Like you have to ask the janitor what makes him go to work every day from 9 to 5 and bust those floors out, because that's what he does, right? There's some people that are good workers, but they'll never be good managers. But there's some people that are good managers that aren't good workers. So you have to learn something from everybody. And so I can relate to anybody, because if you look at it, like my dad was a drug dealer. My mom was a single mother who worked in home loans. She moved me to Orange County when I was in the 3rd grade. So I grew up in the suburbs and learned the city life. Then my mom was like, "You got to grow up and be a man." And so she moved me to Inglewood, California, where I went from the suburbs of Miguel Hills Middle School to the hood. And then I got kicked out of there for some certain reasons. And then they were like, "You got to go to Shreveport, Louisiana." So I went from the suburbs to the hood to the South. And what they were teaching me in the South in the 8th grade, I had already learned in the 4th grade at Georgia Elementary School. And so then I go from there, and it's pretty much like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And we're going to skip some of the story, but I go from there and I end up working for the Maloof brothers, who were at that time just, balling out of control. Palms Hotel, Sacramento Kings, Maloof Music, Maloof TV, Vodka, the beer distributorship. And I get thrown into that world.
And what were you doing for the Maloofs?
I started off as their driver. So as I was trying to be a rapper, I was winning battles. I meet Phil Maloof through Daylene Curtis, and he was going to sign me to his rap label. And so he goes, "You need to go audition for me and my brothers," and they had a joint venture with Interscope. So I go and I audition, and I go to the Rio. At that time, it was the biggest suites in Las Vegas. It was the Palazzo Suites, and I walk in, and the power goes out in all the Palazzo Suites. So here I am as a kid with my demo, thinking like, here's my chance, and the power is out. So they're like, "If you're a good rapper, you can rap without music." So I was like, "All right, I did it." And Joe and Gavin pulled me to the side, like, "Hey, we think you're really good. We're gonna work with you. We're gonna sign you, but we want you to come work for us." I was like, "Well, what do you want me to come do?" All right, and like, gonna be our driver. And at that time, I didn't check my ego at the door. I said, "Why would I go be your driver? Like, I'm working. I was cocky. I'm like, I'm fucking with the dudes from Korn. I'm working at Home Loan Center. I got my own 2-bedroom apartment. I'm like, for Orange County, like I'm balling. Like I'm on my way to do what I want to do." And I came home, and my best friend, rest in peace, Zach Akers, he goes, "You need to go take that job." And I said, "For why?" He goes, "Because your personality, you'll be running their company in 2 years." And I said, "Okay." So I called humbly and said, "Hey guys, like I changed my mind. Like, I'll still come out there. Can I come out there and work?" And just how God works, like everything is timing, right? Like you just can't script timing. And it's literally like Joe Maloof had just broken up with his girlfriend of like 8 years. So he moved to this condo in Turnberry, which was a baller Turnberry.
No Turnberry, the Mr. Fry.
So then he put me into his $4 million house in the Lake of Las Vegas. So here I am as this, 20-year-old kid, Lake Las Vegas house, white Escalade. And all I was doing had to do was drive the Maloofs around from like, Joe woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, Gavin at like 11. We hung out every day till 8 or 9 or 10. And that was like the thing. And then one of my first jobs for them, like where they was like, they knew they trusted me. I was actually Super Bowl was Donovan McNabb versus the Patriots, and they go cash these tickets in for us. So I was like, all right, like I'm not just a kid. Like, all right, go cash the tickets in. I don't even look at the tickets. So I go to the Stratosphere, and I go and give them the tickets, and the guy looks at me like, "Where'd you get this from?"
Right.
And I was like, "The Maloofs. I work for the Maloof brothers." And he was like, "I got to call somebody. I'm not gonna. Who are you? Give me your ID." So I give him my ID and I give him all the stuff, and he's like, "You sure you want all this?" And I was like, "Yeah, like." Give me like, what am I waiting for? And they come up and it's like $625,000, like bricks of money.
Right.
And I'm in this little Mercedes and I'm like, man, like, hey, they're like, "Do you want security to walk you out?" I was like, "Yes." And I grabbed the money, and I like bricks of money. I got all the money and I put it in the thing. I put that, if I pull up, I got the top down, music blasting, but now I got the money in there. So I'm like,
Quiet.
top down, windows up,
Right,
driving the speed limit. I'm thinking this is a setup. I'm about to go to jail.
Right.
And so I go and I bring the money back, and I'm like sweating. My hands are sweating. I'm sweating. And I put the money on the table, and they go, "Oh, now we know we can trust you." What the fuck kind of lesson is that?
Yeah.
Like, that is like that. Like I was like, "Don't you ever do that to me again? Like you could have got me killed." And it was like they were laughing. They thought it was funny. It's like two different worlds, and that's what I always I learned from that, right? Because what I learned in my life, they didn't learn in their life. Like. There was a time where me and Gavin went to Wells Fargo Bank, and he didn't know how to withdraw money out of his own account because he was so used to people bringing him money or getting money from out of the the box out of the casino. So I'm like filling out the script for him. I'm like writing his name. I'm like writing his account number, how much we want. And the guy asks him, he's like, "Mr. Maloof, are you okay?" They thought I was robbing him.
Oh yeah, right. I can see that.
So.
It's interesting because you moved from community to community at a young age, and then kind of growing up truly business-wise in Las Vegas. You and I have spent a lot of time there, and there are two worlds. In fact, when I first met you, you said most people don't believe what you've seen.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that we see, and people are listening to this right now, and they're like, in my mind, because I've seen it, I'm like, I know exactly like that. One of my first clients in Las Vegas handed me $440,000 that he won in video poker, and just to test, to see if I would take it as a gift.
Yeah.
Right. And I told him, "Hey man, I appreciate it, but I earned my money. I'd be happy to do something to perform and work for that, but I'm not going to take your money." And literally, it was the same thing to him. He goes, "Good, you can work for me."
Yeah, when I first started working for the Maloofs, it was a learning curve. It was like going to college. They pulled me out of Saddleback Community College, right? So that was my college. I called it Maloof University, where I was learning from Joe and Gavin. I got refined by George, and then Colleen and Adrian kind of put the polish on me, right? So it was like a family business, and you look back and you're like, damn, I really got to learn about a basketball team buying and selling. I learned how to acquire a hockey team. I've got to learn how a hotel runs. I got to learn how
open a studio.
Open a recording studio. Like there's just things that I got to learn that the average person, they don't teach you in college, right?
Yeah.
They don't teach you people skills in college. I have friends that have degrees now that are hairdressers. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But they didn't, like they went to school for 4 years and now they're happy making $150,000 being a hairstylist. Right.
Yeah.
And do we judge them? No. That's just the path in the life that they take. And that's kind of like the lessons that I tell people. Like, nobody knows your path. I can give you advice all day, but at the end of the day, it's your life. And you have
journey.
to and that's one thing about me is I never let anybody tell me about my life, right? Because they couldn't walk a mile in my shoes. Nobody probably grew up being the only black kid besides Kenny John Norton in Orange County when there's like skinheads and shit like that.
Right.
Right. Nobody can
Clay
go.
Thompson and you, right?
Clay Thompson wasn't here. I was here before Clay.
Yeah.
Right? Clay a little light skin. Clay passed the test.
Yeah.
Right. So then you don't go from being the black kid in Orange County to being the whitest black kid in Inglewood. Right.
Right.
Right. Then you go from that to being the whitest black kid in the South, where everything is y'all and who this and bringing shotguns to school and we drinking and everything. But I fit no matter where I went. I made friends. Right. And that's what I always learned, because and I think that's what bouncing around gave me, because I was able to relate to anybody. I don't believe because you're a Republican, like I don't get along with you. I might cuss you out a couple of times about some shit that you don't know about because you never lived that life. Right. And you might educate me on some things, fiscal responsibility and some things that, how are you going to pay for it? That's how life goes. Right. But I get along with everybody. And you could put me with the most dumbest, ignorant person and we'll find a bond where we're like, you'd be like, that's my best friend.
Yeah.
Right. Because I choose to find a way to relate to people. Some people are just all about themselves and like, oh, I'm not going to mess with that person. That person's below me. Right. I'm like, no, man, like the car wash guy's my best friend. That dude will cancel all his appointments. And that's what I've installed in people is loyalty.
Yeah, and friendship. You connect to people really well, but you also love to provide for others. And I think one of the things that I've watched you and learned from you is that, I live my life of service, and a lot of people wonder what that's like. It's what I do when nobody's watching. So I watch people when they don't think I'm watching.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to come into my show and like tell me, oh, I have this charity I do. Look, because I was there. I was extremely wealthy, and I told everybody about all the money that I gave, because that's why I gave it. So I could look like a certain way. And then I started living my life a certain way and doing the things that I do that nobody sees. Yeah. And it could be little things like putting back a grocery cart when it's in the middle of the parking lot. Just the little things that you do.
Like going crazy.
And I've watched you. I got these windows here, and I just kind of watch people to see you really live your life of service.
I had to change, because I seen things in myself I didn't like. Right. And Gavin Maloof all my lessons, everybody says you always quote back to the Maloofs, because if you don't give credit to where you came from, you're not going to know where you're going to go. Right. And Gavin Maloof used to tell me all the time, like, I don't watch how people treat me. I watch how they treat you. Right. So I used to go into meetings. I used to have stars in my head, not tattooed, but like I would get full stars in my head. And I would walk, they're like, hey, we're going to see what JJ thinks about this. And they would bring me into the meeting, and people would be like taken back, like, who is this? They thought I was going to come in like some shirt, suit and tie, but I come in sweatsuit and then tell them how we're going to market the product, what we're going to do with the product, how we're going to get it in certain people's hands and things like that. And he would always say, I watch how people treat you. So me as a person, I try, for the most part, I really try to treat people great, right? Because then that way, if they do something wrong to me, my conscience is clear. I know that I don't ask for favors. I do 4 and 5 favors. Anybody that knows me, you can ask any athlete, any celebrity, or any normal person I've ever helped in my life. If you call my phone, my first thing I ask you is, how can I help you?
Yep.
Right. And my phone, when I was at the key of my career, the Palms was popping, Sacramento Kings, I was averaging 200, 250 phone calls a day. Right. But then when all that kind of stuff disappeared, through certain things, then you kind of realize who your real friends are. And then you kind of question yourself, were people only my friend because I was able to give them free rooms and create an experience where they could fly on a private plane and go to a game and do that? But then you realize, like, no, like, it was really the brand that I built. Right? Like, now it's like when I call somebody, it's like I didn't have the hotel. I didn't have access to the hotel of the Sacramento Kings. We sold the Kings. Hotel was under different management. But, in saying that, 5 different management, I'm the only one who's lasted at the Palms through all those different managements. Everybody has brought me back. God bless the Fertittas, John Gray and Tall and Cy and, everybody that, Frankie Fertitta Jr. and Frank Jr., Frank Sr., they called me back and said, hey, what would it take to make you come back to the Palms on this? And that shows a testament of who I am. That's what I say, right? Like, I always tell people, like, I don't need to say nothing about myself. My friends are my cheerleaders. Right. Because they know when it comes down to it, I'm not there when you want me, but when you need me, I'm making sure that your resume gets to the right person. Because I remember that so-and-so said that they're looking for a good sales guy, or I remember that so-and-so says that they're looking for a great marketing director. Because I remember that. I remember what people's needs are. And that's all I do, and I feel people's needs.
In transitioning, a lot of people, as they go through, their mentor's university, and for you as a Maloof University, which makes so much sense. And everyone has their own path, their own education, their own circumstances and journey. But there comes a time when you have to go out on your own. Man. Right? You lost, and you did that, and it was such a great transition again because rough. You pivot real easy. Yeah,
it was rough. It was, you know, it was at a time and point where my last project with the Maloof family was helping them bring the Las Vegas Golden Knights to Las Vegas. It was 5 of us: Bill Foley, Peter Sadowski, Tony Quancy, Joe, and Gavin. And literally, me, Joe, Gavin, and Bill and Peter Sadowski were flying everywhere to get this hockey team, and everybody thought it was a dream. And we had to sell, 12,000 or 13,000 season tickets. Could only be one person could only buy 6 tickets at a time. They had to live in within a certain mile radius. But once we did that, it was like, what more can I do, right? It was a role reversal. They went from the majority owners to the minority owners, so it was less responsibility and things change. And for the first month, I was like, damn, like it's time to go strike out on my own. What do I do? And that's when you kind of have to look at yourself like, all right, do I sit here and do nothing, or do I go to a 9 to 5, or what do I do? I'm like, nah, I built myself, so I'm gonna rebuild myself. And literally, God works in mysterious ways. Like, I get a phone call like, hey, so-and-so wants to meet you at Salt Creek Grill for dinner. And I go and meet him, Nate Raby, and he goes, man, me and Nate Raby start talking. He was like, you have to meet Byron Roth. He goes, he's gonna love you. And I was like, all right. Like, he's like, you got to come check out our conference. We do this conference. And then I meet Byron, and me and Byron click like this. And he was like, yo, you're going to run my entertainment for my conference, and we're going to create panels around you, and we're going to give you business. And the next thing you know, I'm at 10 consulting clients, right? And that's because I took a chance on myself. Was it easy? No, it's still difficult. I think, I forgot who it was, might have been like for who it says, like, the entrepreneur is the most scariest position, right? Because the number 2 guy doesn't have to worry about nothing. But the number 1 guy wakes up every day in the mirror like, how am I going to make everybody else eat around me? Right? I have people from my cameraman to my friends that I wake up every day knowing that if I go down, other people go down, because I get so much stuff that I can't even do. I pass it off to other people, to the right person, so it doesn't, because my name's on board. Right? So even if I can't make money off of a deal, that's all right. You go get that money, but you make sure that you represent my name right. So when I get another referral, that's what that is. And that's what I built myself on, as my name. And it's like, whether people take it serious or not, if I tell somebody like, hey, I'm gonna be there at 9 o'clock and I'm gonna fuck you up, you can best believe I'm gonna be there at 9 o'clock and I'm gonna be tearing that up because you messed up something in the business.
Right.
And that's just how I built that.
So the number 1 piece of entrepreneur advice that I give to people who ask me all the time is simply stay in business, for that reason, right? Because I, like you, pivot, evolve, accelerate, and exponentially grow with all the different things that happen in my journey. So I know, as long it's like a heartbeat. As long as I'm in business, anything could happen today, right? So I wake up every morning as an entrepreneur and say, okay, I'm going to guarantee I'm in business tomorrow. Then I'm going to do business, right? Yeah. That's what I do. Last question, what piece of advice is the best entrepreneurial advice? Because you're an extraordinary entrepreneur. What piece of advice would you give?
God giveth and God taketh away.
Right on.
Right?
And what does that mean to you?
To me, it means that God can give it to you one day and then take it away from you the next. But if you're constantly working towards what you believe in and you put the passion and the work behind it, it's going to be yours. But at any given time and point that you slip and that you're sleeping, He can take it away from you.
That's awesome. Well, with that saying goes humility.
Yeah.
You have to be completely humble as well as gratitude. Therefore, if God giveth and taketh away, you have to be completely humble and grateful for everything you have today, knowing that it may not be there tomorrow.
Man, and that's the problem with a lot of people, is they don't appreciate the small stuff in life. And sometimes I get irked by that, because it's like last week I had a friend who lost her son, who was 8 years old, in a car accident.
Yeah,
with a car where he was on his bike, and he lost. And Little Jackson lost his life, and that's an 8-year-old. Then I had a friend whose dad passed away from cancer. None of us know I saw the most funniest, not funniest, but it was on the Breakfast Club, and the guy says, everything that we have is a loan. The only thing that we take with us when we die is the things that are in our pockets. You don't get to keep anything that you get, right? But we're all over here fighting, for things that we can't even take with us when we're gone.
Exactly, man. You take nothing with you when you're gone. That's why I have a jacket with no pockets in my closet. I really do. My dad gave it to me for my 30th birthday to remind me every day you cannot take anything when you're gone, and 2, you don't want to be the richest man in the cemetery. Damn. Both are worthless. Anyway, we got the alter entrepreneur, the man that babysits the superstars, as the Wall Street Journal says. But anyway, my super friend, JJ, Dave Meltzer, here with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.
Turn up.